like kind of galled or just roll my eyes a little bit. I don't even know what reaction, because at the same, it's so stupid and so hard to get like freaked out about this. On the same time, though, you can see like this is just an absolutely insane and just unprecedented completely conduct. So yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about this in the future and of course throughout the next few days. And as we, of course, we deal with the elections in Georgia and of course the certifications going on, I believe tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday. And yeah, so coming up, we will be talking about Nancy Pelosi.
I thought that I was dreaming when you said you loved me.
And more specifically here, we're going to be talking a little bit about the 117th Congress. Nancy Pelosi taking her seat for her, I believe, fourth term as Speaker of the House. Jesus Christ. So yeah, here it is. Here is the moment.
The total number of votes cast is 427, of which the Honorable Nancy Pelosi of the state of California has received 216.
Literally, she like the way Nancy Pelosi like runs the Democratic Party. Like you should probably, she had people out there looking around like, who's clapping? Who's putting their back into it? Who's clapping them? Like, that is how she runs the Democratic Party. Is it insane to see how many people who really just had no direct reason to coming out and say, Nancy Pelosi may just be the best speaker to walk the face of the earth. She's the absolute best. We can't do without her. Like, the reaction was just insane. Why is the idolization of this 80-year-old woman who knows how to do really nothing but raise a bunch of corporate money, why is it so pervasive on even some of those left-wing members of the Democratic Party? It is really insane. And there she is. They're clapping her. They're serenading her. Oh.
The Honorable...
So they're just proven, again, literally just proven to have almost cost them the majority in a year that she thought they would, worst case scenario, pick up 10 seats. And now she's back as leader of the Democratic Party because that is the kind of control that she has on power at this point. It is absolutely just the at the basic level, the fact that people who are just incompetent and failures in politics, they still get to remain around. That's not something that has always happened. Like, that is a very new Trump era phenomenon where people who just continuously like screw up in the public square are not swept off by whoever the kind of gatekeepers of the system may be, i.e. the media. In a lot of cases, like, you hear a lot of people, like, when people, like, at least in some other countries in political circles, like, when they screw up in such a clear and transparent way, when they absolutely embarrass themselves, they just get ushered off the stage. It's, enough is enough. But she's still there. She's back there. And even more disorientingly, she's treated like she's like the Sun Tzu Machiavelli best leader. And it's just insane because, like, are you seeing what I'm seeing here? Like, are you not seeing complete and total failure on every level by Nancy Pelosi? And we'll get into Chuck Schumer in just a moment. But there was obviously a little bit of movement to come in there and replace Nancy Pelosi, but it is really just insane, the state of the Democratic Party. And just the fact that she's being, like, ushered in and clapped by all these people when she's just proven to be nothing but a complete and pathetic failure for the Democratic Party is really, really just insane. Like, I mean, it's really only, I mean, to be honest, it's really only the Democratic Party. I mean, they may have a little bit, Republicans may have a bit of a problem with this with Trump, but they keep bringing these people, these epic failures back again and again and again and treat them as rising stars because they lost in a close and inspiring way. Like, that is, if you're just corporate enough, if you just hit those right buttons, if you're a John Ossoff type character, you will be welcome back, or a Beto type character, you'll be welcome back in the party, even after all your most, like, drastic failures, as a clarion voice. I mean, it's embarrassing, and it really just shows you how serious the Democrats are as a political party. So, yeah, so it really was not an easy task for her, though, to get back into power. I mean, it should have been impossible based on that performance. with her party in control of 222 of the 435 seats, Pelosi can afford to lose only a handful of Democrats on any given vote and faces a Republican opposition empowered by a better-than-expected showing in the November election. And that's going to give people on the left a lot of leverage and something they should really not hesitate to use, just to show that the confrontation is out there. And to me, that was really some of the biggest logic in the force of the vote drama. It was that getting like a confrontation and a fight out there, alerting the Democratic base as to the problems of the system that are so prevalent and just so hard to ignore, was very, 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 very beneficial. Like, that to me is something that just can only be like positive for us. Just getting out there. And AOC, like a lot of people, the main reason why people differ on force of the vote is, I think, just how much that strategy of getting Medicare for all out there, getting it in the public square, how much of an impact that would have. And I think it would have a lot of impact that people don't even realize, because it would create a legitimate scene, whether the media liked it or not, because AOC would be out there. And the media isn't that ideologically coherent enough to just shut down any type or topic of Medicare for all. If this stuff, look at how the Green New Deal got into people's conversations. All AOC had to do was go on 60 Minutes a few times and stand in front of Nancy Pelosi. She didn't even do that much. It was barely anything. But the Green New Deal became a resolution and became a living, breathing thing that people had to talk about in the Democratic Party with barely any kind of momentum. If you had unified opposition to the Democratic leadership from the Progressive Caucus, like that, and really fighting for Medicare for all, you do, like, it is, I think, is very hard to say with a straight face that they would not get a lot done. And a lot of people in the Democratic base starting to ask some serious questions because people aren't that informed. Like, if they support Medicare for all, like, that's a great thing that they do. But you need to get them informed on the Gulf. And that's really where I agree with people like Brianna Joy Gray on this, who have really illustrated this path super, super clearly. I mean, the people like Jimmy Dore who are leading this movement are just really just unacceptable. Like, supporting Tulsi Gabbard during the primary, I can't even get over that. And just the way, like, he's like, oh, AOC, I made you. You will never be the same without me, AOC. Like, come on. Like, you do a lot better let people like Brianna Joy Gray speak for you. And just the people, again, this debate still, even with the speakership now over, is probably going to continue to rage on in a big way, as it should. But on both sides, I really just don't think people realize that we need all the help we can get. We don't need to cast people out. We need to bring people in, and we need to focus on a common goal. And just like differences over strategy, it's so infuriating to watch, because like, you really get the sense that these people who are all fighting each other, they're on the same team. They're fighting the same thing, and they're fighting against a common enemy. But there is a real gulf, and it's starting to become a factor, I think, and it's not encouraging at all. So it's just meanwhile, you people talking about AOC, primarying AOC, when you got people like Richard Neal in there, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Just absolutely crazy. Yeah, so we will be getting right into it in the future, chronicling the Democratic Party. And we go from one side here in the House to the Senate, where Senator Bernie Sanders spent New Year's morning making one last attempt to halt the defense bill in order to force Republican leader Mitch McConnell to allow a vote on $2,000 checks, and Democratic leader Chuck Schumer spent the morning treating everyone like they're gullible idiots. He wrote on Twitter, "I just took the floor again to demand a vote on $2,000 stimulus check," Schumer said, and slammed the Republican lawmakers for objecting, promising Democrats will not stop fighting. Oh, that's so nice. Then, literally moments later, Schumer and most of the Senate Democrats has surrendered live on C-SPAN for everybody to see, and obediently voted for McConnell's motion to move forward the defense bill for final passage. More Democrats voted for this bill than Republicans, completely giving up, completely surrendering. Oh, you know what? Dick was right. Dick Durbin was right. We can't risk the possibility of maybe giving some people just a little bit more so they don't have to be as dependent on their jobs for just basic survival, and give them any sort of just financial stability during this crisis. Like, that's just unacceptable, and we have to move forward with this all-important defense bill. Really what happened is Schumer tweeted out his promise to fight for starving Americans while knowing that moments later he would be on live television completely surrendering to the Republicans. So Democrats didn't even muster enough votes on the procedural motion to keep it close enough to force Georgia incumbents Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue off the campaign trail to help McConnell, a scenario that would have provided a huge boost to Democratic candidates John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who have really been kind of forced to pretend like this kind of awkward charade that, Democrats care about fighting for the stimulus checks. Like, guys, like we're still doing that. Like, right, John, it's John checking in over to Chuck. We're still doing this whole stimulus thing. Like, that's still something we want to do. Okay, just checking. Oh, you voted against it. Okay, that's a little awkward. It's the most infuriating part of it is like how easily people are just gonna buy it, and you'll be called just a complete like whiny hiney. It sounds even weird to say it, but that's the attitude. It's like, oh, you dare criticize the Democratic Party? Like, don't you know how good you have it? You should be thankful. You should be thankful for all the work that they're doing. Chuck Schumer is a great progressive leader. So the Daily Poster published a report a few days ago on Democrats beginning to vote for McConnell's procedural motions. Democratic partisans on social media swarmed in to berate us for having the nerve to report on the situation. They want silence and fealty. But the accountability journalism we do at the Daily Poster. By the way, support the Daily Poster. They help keep this show going. They help give a big boost to progressive media. It is designed to report facts, and the entire battle over the $2,000 checks illustrated nearly every dysfunctional, corrupt, and craven aspect of American policy. And that's dead on. That is dead on. Every box, this situation was the perfect illustrator of everything wrong, every mechanical lever that was involved. Everything wrong with the American politics on both sides of the aisle was displayed in this exchange. So we have Republican lawmakers explicitly exposing themselves as greedy nihilists who are willing to starve their own constituents literally while enriching their big donors, while eating beautiful steak. They are the foremost villains in all this, as we have reported. That said, the rank-and-file Senate Democrats abetted the GOP. They showed a different kind of contempt for their own voters. They were happy to pretend to fight, while always planning to avoid a real battle that might corner McConnell. And it's really kind of a game of hot potato with populism. It's just like, we can be for this up till a point where it actually has to matter. Oh, no, we got to drop support just like that. They were better than GOP, and at least they were willing to demand McConnell allow a vote. And most of them probably would have voted for the $2,000 checks if they had a chance, but they were never willing to wield their power to try and force a vote. Schumer, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and President-elect Joe Biden played particularly pernicious roles at helping McConnell slash the original stimulus bill in half, and Schumer's behavior today, pretending to fight hard while voting with McConnell, was the icing on the cake, and now something that just will not be challenged in any way by any Democratic Party force and any kind of like Democratic associated media force in whatsoever. Liberal pundits and billionaire-owned media organizations outed themselves as absurdly detached elitists, making the fake argument the $2,000 stimulus checks might go to some people who don't really need help, and the baffling claim that Americans will probably just save the checks because they can't go to restaurants, which are, again, fully open in most states, or literally most Americans regularly order from restaurants especially if they can, if they have the means to, especially if they can, with takeouts and stuff like that. The only players that really came off well in any of this are a handful of Democratic senators who had the votes to had the guts to vote against all of McConnell's key procedural motions, such as Sanders, Merkley, Warren, Wyden, Van Hollen, and other rank-and-file House Democrats who were willing to use their power to pass $2,000 stimulus checks. And yes, Pelosi deserves some credit for quickly delivering these $2,000 checks to the Senate. So look at that. I'm giving Pelosi credit here. In this whole episode, we will see that there's still only a handful of Democratic senators willing to fight the Republicans in any way, even during an economic emergency. And that's an important reminder of how much work needs to be done to get the get the Democratic